Hello there and welcome to bnetTV.com. I'm Michelle Sklar. We're here at the Mobile Marketing Association's Forum in Los Angeles, and I am joined by Chris Brunner of Univision. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Univision and what your role is with the company?
Univision is the fifth largest media company in the U.S. My role there is to take and manage all the mobile operations and interactive shows and programming, and that across the 5 divisions that we have.
Okay. Now, a lot of the larger media companies really over the last couple of years have had to expand to include these media divisions, if you will. Did you come into that sort of at the beginning stage of the Univision, or are you sort of newer with the company in that regard?
I did. So the online interactive division has been around 7 years, and I've been at Univision for 4 years, and I came in to launch the mobile division.
And what was that experience like for you at the time? I mean, obviously these larger companies, they knew that they had to get in there, but at the same time, there still must have been certain barriers to entry for you.
Oh, absolutely. There still are. I often say, everyone always says, right, the toughest battles are internal. So the internal politics are, they're there, but they're manageable, and it's a good company. It's small enough that and nimble enough that we can get things done, and it's not too painful.
Absolutely. What do you look for in terms of developing strong programming and strong content on the mobile end of things?
Well, from the programming side, and I'm thinking of the broadcast side of our business, it really has to be organic. It has to be intuitive to the programming. It has to be something that doesn't look like it's just bolted on at the end of a show, which is something we did in early days, and we really have moved now into thinking much more about an organic fit into the programming, making sure that the user's engaged and they're compelled to get off the couch, get a mobile device, and to text in to participate. And so we've had a lot of learnings over the years, and we're getting there. We're not there yet, but we're getting there.
Right. It seems to be that the personalization married with participation is what makes a mobile campaign or content as seen over a mobile device a successful experience for people.
I would agree. I think more on the content side is very much about personalization. The programming side is very much about engagement, about making the audience feel part of the programming, and there's got to be something significant in terms of a hook or a win, whether it's, and usually cash is the way to do it, but usually cash or going backstage and meeting the stars and stuff like that. So it's usually something that it has to be compelling.
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure if you can speak to this particular question, Chris, but in the mobile space now, as well as with the internet, if we look at a MySpace or YouTube or that type of thing, user-generated content has really, it's something that you couldn't do over television or you couldn't necessarily do over radio. It's something that you can do now with mobile, with internet. It's not to say that the opportunities for maybe a more amateur approach in programming are going to ever supersede a quality professional programming, but the way people can put together programming has evolved. How is Univision looking at the new creative minds that are out there and perhaps tapping into that?
We're a bit old school. We stay with the tried and true, which is the bulk of our premium programming comes from Televisa in Mexico, and we stay with that through our prime time. But we are really looking at it's not, I wouldn't call it user-generated content, but it is less sophisticated, if you will, and it's kind of more edgy, and it could be produced in a warehouse somewhere, and it's a couple kids with a green drop behind them playing games and texting. So we're looking at some of that participation TV and for the late night hour, and definitely evaluating that and trying to see if that's a good fit for our audience.
Fantastic. Chris, you were speaking at the Mobile Marketing Forum earlier today. Maybe you could give us a brief overview of some of the important points that you touched on.
Well, first I want to say this is just an amazing event. The MMA's come a long way. I mean, I walked into the show and I was very impressed with just kind of the whole setup and everything, and the people that were in attendance. So it was great to see the evolution of the industry so far. In terms of just highlights, to be honest with you, we're still talking about the same issues we talked about 2 years ago. Things have gotten a little bit easier. We're doing, campaigns are running a little bit more smoother. We're having better engagement with our audience. But still, at the end of the day, the buzzword around the industry is all about advertisers. And as a person that kind of walks the fine line between the agencies and advertisers and the carriers in that space, we're a long way from content and interactive components, everything being supported by advertisers. And I don't know that can be driven home enough. Everybody thinks that's the saving grace, and it will be eventually, but I think we've got a long way to go to get there.
Absolutely. Well, the space is evolving very quickly, so hopefully the next time we get a chance to chat, we'll see where we've come.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. We've been speaking with Chris Brunner of Univision, and I'm Michelle Sklar with bnetTV.com. Thanks.